What's up, fight fans? Welcome back to the MMA Savvy Podcast. It's your favorite host, Ari Weiss, alongside combat sport expert, Big Rich Fulgoni. And today we'll be discussing UFC Fight Night, Emmett versus Vallejos, that went down Saturday night in Vegas. Then we'll also analyze UFC 328, Chimaev versus Strickland, that just got announced for May in Newark. Then we'll end the show by breaking down UFC Fight Night, Evloev versus Murphy, that goes down Saturday night in London. In standard Savvy fashion, we'll go through the card, break down on the big fights, and drop our official MMA Savvy fight picks. So with that, let's go straight to the card and get rolling. Okay, Big Rich, before we get into the big Chimaev Strickland news, you were in Vegas this past weekend. Let's talk about Emmett versus Vallejos. Wally got screwed with your boy Vallejos showing up. How was the weekend, and how was that fight seeing it live?
Yeah, Vajay Bros, stand up. You did it, right? the man's on a mission. He's on his way. But yeah, man, just literally touched down from the MMA Savvy jet in John Wayne about an hour ago. So just cleaned up to get on here with you. But man, incredible. I got to say, this is my first time in the Apex. I mean, really cool venue. I know they're planning on expanding it. I want to say they're at like 800 seats right now, but I think they're looking to get to about 1,500. My only gripe was there was no hard alcohol for your boy unless you had the VIP experience tickets. A little disappointed in that. They're doing all these brand partnerships, so you can get the Monaco pre-mixed seltzers and stuff, which is not really my bag. But aside from that, great night, great fights. The venue was incredible. Looking at the just how intimate it is, how close you are, there's no bad seat in the house. So I encourage you guys, if it's within reach for you, check out tickets and see if you can get in there. But yeah, what a night. Three things that stood out to me. Bia Masita on the prelims, man. That was, I think, her second fight now in the UFC. She's a jiu-jitsu champion specialist and now comes in here and she's got hands. She's got takedown, grappling, ground and pound, you name it. She seems like the complete deal. I think we're looking at a future champ. And then we had my boy Asplin. He kind of bounced from the main card to the prelim, but had that fight with Petrino. And man, he did not look good after the fight. He was pretty beat up. But I got to give him a lot of credit. He stood and traded with a dangerous guy. And I think what was most impressive is his takedown defense, right? He stuffed, I think, 4 or 5 takedowns. He got taken down. He got back up. And he had Petrino hurt twice. I got to be honest, and I love Asplin, but he looked a little more out of shape than he did in the previous fight. And I think he didn't have that gas tank to finish when he had Petrino hurt. And he also didn't really make some of the right finishing moves when he had him up against a cage. He went to kind of grapple when he could have just keep striking. But anyway, he'll get better. We'll see him back soon. And then the main event, Vallejos, man, El Chino just looked incredible. I mean, they're calling him, the Argentina Topuria, and how can you argue with that with what you saw last night? Now, I will say Topuria probably softened up Emmett a bit, you know what I mean, with all that damage that he took, and then the next fight was pretty quick with that submission to Salal. But man, that was incredible, really impressive. So what were your thoughts watching from home?
So I'm pissed, baby, because I took my boy Emmett, and I feel like the bigger story is how impressive is Vallejos, because in that last one, I felt like he was a little bit more tentative. He waited. I thought I'd have a shot here with Josh with the heavy hands, but, and this is the other impressive thing, Emmett went 5 rounds with Topuria. Emmett also took Murphy to the brink. That was a close fight. No one stopped him, besides that Zalal finish, right? But Vallejos comes in the first round, and he was so fast, you almost can't even see the punch land in the replay. It was so fast. So he is a major problem. He just spiced up featherweight, and it's maybe one of the hottest divisions right now. Should we check it out, Richie? Okay, baby, look at the featherweight division here to see what's next for this rising superstar, Kevin Vallejos. He still is at number 14 here, but come Monday morning, he will have the number 11 spot. Who is he going to fight next, Richie? Ortega, he's got a 155, so he shouldn't even be here. We got Mean Machine booked against Lopez. We got Allen booked against Costa. We got Zalal booked against Sterling. And of course, we got Evloev booked against Murphy that we're going to talk about in a couple minutes. So the only real matchups is either Silva at number 6 or Yair Rodriguez at number 4. I like Rodriguez because he's been sitting there almost a year. I think they're going to save Silva for a big-time matchup, because he's almost there for a title shot. So I don't think we're going to see Silva Vallejos. I like Rodriguez, unless they both complain and they don't want to fight down to the number 11 guy. Then Kevin just needs to wait a little bit, watch one of these other matchups, happen over the next 2 to 3 months, and then he'll get a big time fight. But I bet you by the summer, we see him dialed in, maybe a top 5, at least a 5 to a 8 ranked guy. What do you say to that?
Yeah, man, it's interesting. I mean, it's cool that we have so much booked in, like you said, one of the hottest divisions right now. I think Yair's the fight to make out of all of them, right? I know it seems like he's fighting down, but I don't think he's quite earned to keep that number 4 spot, right? He's been really, really inactive, and it's not like he's put together a long streak of wins or anything like that. So I think that's the fight to make. I agree with you on Silva. I think for Silva, if we see this main event on Saturday night in London be a stinker and there's nothing really impressive about it, it's kind of lackluster. I could see what we've been seeing recently is maybe Silva leapfrogging and getting that shot against Volk. But I think Yair's the fight to make. And then the other option to me is, because it's only 1 week after his last win, do they maybe give him the loser of this weekend's matchup? I think that's a possibility as well. So, but either way, I mean, that number 11 ranking, he's going to be shooting up into the top 5 sometime soon.
I don't actually hate that because maybe it'll be a quick turnaround and Murphy or Evloev, whoever loses, might then be forced into that. But I guess let's see what happens. We'll get to that a little bit later in the show. Richie, we got bigger fish to fry, baby, because there was some big announcements. People have been hating on my boy Dana. He came correct this week and gave us all our cards straight to June, baby. And he juiced up UFC 328, Chimaev versus Strickland. This is the biggest fight in the world. This is the fight that I had been calling for. This is the fight that the fans want to see. I'm sick of all these people bashing the UFC and bashing my boy Dana, Richie, okay? But before we get to the main event and Wally makes his proclamations, let's just look at the card real quick. Okay, Gauthier Diaz. I like the fight. Blachowicz, Guskov, great rematch because remember that was a draw. Then you got Brady, Buckley, both coming off losses. This is a pivotal fight because we know Buckley lost to Usman. Brady loses to Morales. This is a big one for their career. 6 first 9 in the welterweight division. Volkov, who just got off the lackluster win against Almeida, but he's still 2 in the world. And WCA, that Wally coin, could be the hottest heavyweight in the world. So I do like that as a top contender fight right in the mix. If Aspinall can't come back still with the eye surgery, they could be thrust in to get the winner of Gon Pereira. So that's a big-time matchup. And then, of course, Chimaev Strickland, the biggest matchup in the world. But before I break that down, Richie, what do you think of this card? Anything you want to call out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty fired up. This is a solid card. I mean, I think, not quite on the same level in both the main and co-main, but this is almost as good as the White House card, if not better, depending on who you like, right? So I like it a lot. I'm really excited to see the Sean Brady and the Buckley fight because what's really interesting to me there is obviously we know Brady's grappling is incredible, right? But Buckley, I could see a world where he doesn't let Brady get close and gets after him with the hands. And you saw what Bilal Muhammad did to him, who's not known as a great striker. He's a decent striker, and he stopped him standing on the feet in the corner, right? So if Buckley comes out aggressive, it could be another bad night for Brady. However, if he gets close and can get his hands on him, obviously I think he's got the advantage there. We saw Buckley get stood up against the cage a lot and wrestled to a victory by Usman. So excited for that one. And then obviously A-Bay, give me WCA. Wally did coin that. I love that nickname moniker. I'd like to see him get a victory here and stay hot and deserve a shot, in the future for a title, and I think that's very possible. But then, of course, the main event's going to be incredible. I'm super excited to see how that matchup is. Strickland, causes a lot of problems for people. It's styles make fights. Does he have the style that can disrupt Chimaev? Because let's not forget, he seems like a world beater right now, but it wasn't long ago that he was having a battle with Usman and a battle with Gilbert Burns, right? So, you know what I mean? They're all human. They're all 2 men walking. Anything can change on any given night. So, but, I mean, obviously I'm not making my pick now. I think Chimaev's still the clear favorite, but I think it's not that big of a gap.
So I like what you're saying there, Richie, and I'm going to break this down really quickly. I know we're not doing our official picks yet, but if I hadn't seen that Strickland-Hernandez fight, I'd be much more worried. I'd think Sean has no chance because Chimaev just looks like an unstoppable destroyer right now, okay? The way he's running through guys and the way he mopped the floor with DDP. But Strickland went in there with arguably the second best wrestler in the entire division and one of the supposedly best wrestlers in the entire UFC. And he only went for 2 takedowns and didn't even get close to one. He was able to circle. He stayed away. He's got that jab, which kept Hernandez at bay. So therefore, why can't he do the same thing to Chimaev? Now, Chimaev's going to be much more aggressive. And Hernandez was silly to try to stand and bang with Strickland for those couple rounds. But if he can stuff a couple takedowns, or at least if he can survive and get up a couple times, this is a 5-round fight. So if Sean can maybe survive the the second, the third, don't get your jaw broken like we saw with Whitaker. If that happens, Chimaev maybe gets tired, and Strickland, if he has the energy from being tossed around, he might have a shot in the second or the third or the fourth round to turn the fight around. I'm going to make a Wally bold proclamation here, okay?
Here we go.
Even though Chimaev is the smart bet, and I know he's going to be favored in an insane way. I haven't looked at the line yet, but I'm sure it's a huge line. I'm going to take Strickland to beat Chimaev, baby, because he's going to weather the storm. It's going to be the first couple rounds. Chimaev's going to take him down, but by the second or the third or the fourth round, Strickland's going to get up. He's going to pepper him with the shots, and he might even get a finish, baby, or at least a decision. Maybe he gets 3 rounds to 2. Strickland does it. He shocks the world, and he goes down to be one of the better middleweights of all time if he gets this win after his recent fight. What do you say to this, Richie?
Yo, I knew Wally was going to hit us with the bold proclamation again. I mean, you've got 2 out there on the line right now, right? So we're excited to see what happens. I think you're right about the odds. I think they're pretty big, somewhere around like -400 for Chimaev. And I think what would happen if you do see a victory on the end of Sean Strickland, it probably would be a decision. I don't know that he finishes him, but there's potential for everything. But I think you kind of nailed it. Like, everybody acts like the cardio issue for Khamzat was fixed in the last fight. And yes, did he look a lot better? I know he's working with the Jackson guys out there and TJ Dillasaw's strength and conditioning coach Sam Calavita, and you see him. They're posting a lot of stuff online these days, and they're working right now in like a pre-camp. So he should come in good condition. But he did seem to be a little bit tired towards the end of that fight with DDP, and that was a fight where he wasn't doing much offensively to land or create damage. That was a fight where he basically did a lot of control, didn't do a lot of damage, and still got kind of tired in fourth, definitely the 5th round. And so, to your point early on, Strickland, when he comes up the middle with those knees and those teeps and rips shots to the body, and if he can get some damage on Chimaev, he could definitely slow down. I could see him winning by a decision. I think Wally's proclamation definitely has more legs than I would have said it did, a month or 2 ago, since that fluffy fight. So you could be in business, baby. I think if you're going to touch, you got to touch those odds. That could win Wally some serious coin.
So I'm very excited. We got a couple months to wait. It's going to be one of the biggest fights of the year, and I do feel, all jokes aside, Strickland has a major shot. Okay, let's end the show with the fights coming this weekend of Evloev versus Murphy in London for basically the #1 contender fight in the featherweight division. I love the fight. I love that it's in London. Finally, we get a good, loud crowd. The crowds, I feel like, the past couple months have been kind of lame. I love London. I love Paris, baby. So let's break this down. I mean, it's #1 contender, Movsar, Evloev versus #3, Lerone Murphy. If you look at the records, they're both undefeated. Evloev is 19-0. Lerone Murphy 17-0-1, so he does have a draw, but both of them have never lost, right? So this is basically insane. Let's look at Evloev really quickly first. We know he's kind of coming off this pretty big-time run. If you just look at the last 3 fights, he beats Lopez, he beats Allen, and he beats Sterling. It was a while ago, though, over a year ago, and it was a close fight. So he might have some ring rust there. You look at Murphy, what he's done, and boom, I mean, this last 3, he beats Ige, he beats Emmett in a very close decision, and then he knocks out Pico. But don't forget, here's one thing of why I might side with the Evloev, is because Pico did have Murphy, had him a little wrestling danger early in that fight, and of course he turned it around with the spinning back elbow. Right. So if you look at the odds, I believe Evloev is around a -200. It's a very close fight. And I'm very worried because to go against Lerone Murphy, one of the scariest strikers in the division, at home in London. But you know what? Wally's taking Evloev, baby. I'm going against Rich and Nico. I'm taking the grappler. I'm sorry, guys. I do love Murphy, and I probably will be rooting for Murphy. But Evloev, I just feel like the grappling is so legit. He's so jacked. He's so strong. And the little tidbit I gave you about Pico was winning the fight until he got caught. And he was able to take down Murphy once or twice, I believe, before that strike. So I feel like if Pico can do it, Evloev can do it. So I got to take Evloev here, although I think it's going to be very, very close, and I'm very, very scared. But that is Wally's official pick. What do you say to that, Richie?
Yeah, no, I remember that. I mean, that definitely did happen, but let's also remember that was round 1. He did get him down. He got back up. and he was able to take advantage of Pico's aggression and land that vicious strike, right? So it's going to be, I think, a close fight. It's hard to really call it because, like you said, Evloev's been out for so long, right? Like, what does he look like? Is there ring rust? You know what I mean? Has Murphy leveled up, right? He's been putting a lot of work, drilling, he's waiting for that Volk fight and now waiting for this fight. So he's actually probably chomping at the bit to get in there as well. But I got to side with my Brit. Let's go with the London hometown boy. I'm taking Lerone. Hopefully, I'd like to see him get his shot against Volk, and obviously he's got to get through Movsar to get there. So let's go. I'm taking Murphy.
Bold picks, baby. And so for the rest of the main card picks, remember to come Friday night on our Instagram. That's at MMA Savvy and at Richie Boy MMA. And we drop all of our main card picks Friday night, so don't miss it. Okay, that's it for this week. Thank you for listening to the MMA Savvy podcast, the world's top place for MMA content. If you love these weekly episodes, make sure to hit subscribe. And if you're a real MMA enthusiast, check out the old MMA Savvy videos on our page. You might see some UFC legends pop up, such as Nick Diaz, Ronda Rousey, and John Jones. The old channel has been revived, and we couldn't be more excited. So please subscribe, follow, comment, like, share, and blast on all of our social channels. We're blasting hard at the talk, we're heavy on the gram, and we're going crazy on the tube. That's at MMA Savvy and at Richie Boy MMA. And make sure to comment and challenge our takes if you have disagreements. We love the comments and interactions with the fans. So with that, stay savvy, fight fans.